Joining us now to discuss the latest developments, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Chief Medical Advisor to President Biden. Welcome back. It's great to have you, Dr. Fauci.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
So clearly the stock market celebrated this. Groups like casinos and hotels and airlines all rallied. How do you see this antiviral pill being used, and how fast can we get there?
Well, this is certainly an important advance. There's no doubt about that. Whenever you have an orally administered medical intervention that directly attacks the virus and has the kind of data that Merck announced with their announcement, where they had a 50% decrease in the hospitalization. The trial was designed to be given to people early in the course of infection. It's an orally administered drug that's really very important. It was compared to a placebo, and the endpoint that does it reduce the risk of hospitalization or death. The results are really quite good. Importantly, in the placebo group, there were 8 deaths, and in the treatment drug group, there were 0 deaths. So that adds a bit more of an importance to the study. You asked the question of when it's going to get approved by the FDA. Well, the company had mentioned that they would imminently, literally within a day or so, be sending the data to the FDA. So you've got to make sure you give the FDA the time to very carefully go over the data and make the kind of determinations for emergency use authorization. So I don't want to get ahead of them. I can't predict when it will be, but I can tell you one thing, they will do it as quickly as they possibly can. So rather than give a deadline, know that they are working very hard to get this done in an expeditious manner.
The trial, Dr. Fauci, was done on unvaccinated individuals. Is this something that vaccinated individuals will be able to qualify for as the number of breakthroughs continues to grow?
Right. Well, this is a treatment for infection. So whether you get infected following a breakthrough from a vaccination or infected without getting vaccinated, the treatment is for infected individuals. I am not going to get ahead, and I shouldn't get ahead of what the FDA will be authorizing it for. But I would assume that if you're infected, you're infected. Doesn't really matter whether you've been vaccinated or not. I mean, a person who's infected would be somebody, I would imagine, who would be eligible. But again, let's leave that to the regulatory authorities to talk about what the indications would be.
Dr. Fauci, does it, whether significantly or at the margin, lower the need for those who are fighting against getting vaccinated, refusing to get vaccinated? Does it reduce the need for them to get vaccinated?
In my opinion, as a public health person, absolutely not. It is always better to not get infected than to get infected and rely on a drug to protect you from getting advanced disease. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to say, it doesn't matter, I get infected, I get a drug. No drug, by any means, is 100% effective. And look at the study that went into the Merck drug. It's a quite good result, which is a 50% protection. So a 50% decrease in the incidence of getting into a severe situation requiring hospitalization and may leading to death. Remember, there were people on the treatment arm who actually did not have a successful result. The best way to avoid getting into a hospital is to don't get infected. The best way to not get infected is to get vaccinated.
Dr. Fauci, you guys have been pushing the vaccine, and I obviously understand why. I'm vaccinated, but I also have COVID, and it's spread through my entire family in the past few weeks. It's why I'm doing the show from home today. And I just wonder about the public messaging around vaccinations. 3 vaccinated people got COVID in my house. 2 unvaccinated children got it. Are you too casual about the limitations of the vaccine? No. Because it does feel to me that these breakthroughs are happening. They're happening regularly. And we haven't really seen the government pay that much attention to them or warn about them too much. The bottom line is we were still able to get it and transmit it. Thank God we're not in the hospital. I get it. I'm vaccinated, but you can get it and transmit it. And the government hasn't been warning about that.
Oh, yes, we have. And we've said that. And let me just give you the science and the facts. If you are an unvaccinated person, you have 5 times the likelihood of getting infected, 11 times the likelihood of being hospitalized, and 11 times the likelihood of dying compared to someone who's been vaccinated. So the data showing the benefit of vaccines is incontrovertible. If you look at the people who have died from COVID-19, overwhelmingly, 90+% of them are unvaccinated. Vaccination protects you against severe disease. And even when you get breakthrough infections, because remember, no vaccine is 100% protective. But what we do know is that if you get vaccinated and get a breakthrough infection, you are much less likely of getting a severe outcome. It is much more likely that you, in fact, would either be without symptoms or be mildly symptomatic. So you should not confuse the very important data that we now have a drug that can diminish hospitalization and death by 50%. You should not confuse that with the overwhelming benefits of the protection of vaccines. Those should not be confused.